Hey everybody, it's Kenneth again. If you're here for the first time, this is the Shoegazer channel where we talk about effect pedals, exciting music gear, home production and more, all around the beautiful noise and otherworldly soundscapes. I have already uploaded many videos about guitar sounds, but in this video I want to focus on bass guitar. I already made a video about interesting bass lines that are cutting through the wall of sound, but this video is specifically about bass sound. So if you ask yourself what kind of effect pedals bands like My Bloody Valentine, Ringo Death Star, Astro Bright, or even Cocteau Twins are using, this video could be very interesting for you. In this video I will show you how I would copy these kind of sounds with my gear, and maybe you get some inspiration how you can do this with your gear. So I will not use exactly the gear that those bands used. There's so much equipment and gear out there. It would be insane to have exactly the same stuff, and this is not important at all. It's just about the idea. So let's start with the basics. So which bass do you need actually? I would recommend a simple 4-string bass, something that feels comfortable. I chose the Fender Mustang bass. It's a very small, short scale and very handy bass, something super simple. But you can also choose a long scale bass, something that has more body. It's totally up to you as long as it feels good. Just make sure that your bass is able to create MIDI and trebly sounds, I'd say. There are bass models out there that can sound very low and fat. This is very cool for very aggressive music styles like metal and progressive rock, but also for genres like jazz and reggae. In shoegaze music I would recommend basses that can sound a little more MIDI and trebly, because these kind of frequencies can react better with effect pedals, in my opinion. The bass player of Joy Division is using, for example, Yamaha basses. Bands like My Bloody Valentine and Ringo Death Star, they are using Fender Precision basses, for example. Try a Music Man or a Rickenbacker bass, because they have very good high frequencies and they sound good in the mids. The Fender Mustang bass is very famous for its MIDI sound. If you have listened to some Beatles records, you can maybe make out that their bass sound is also very MIDI, and this bass is very similar to that. But as I said, you can choose whatever you like as long as it has strings, a pickup and an output to send it to an amp. That is correct. So which amp do you need? Do you need any amp at all? An amp brand that is very famous is called Ampeg. They are creating brilliant bass amplifiers, and also Fender makes amazing bass amps. But as I said, it's totally up to you. These are just brands that I see very often on stages, especially when shoegaze bands are on stage. Just make sure that your bass amp is able to EQ your bass signal a bit, and maybe also has a limiter or a compressor on it, because that enables you to control your bass signal a bit more. But you don't necessarily need an amp. Let's say normally you're playing in your practice room or at home or in small venues. It's also a very good idea to use something that is called a DI box. Mostly it comes in the form of an effect pedal. The most famous one is probably the Sans amp. This is a pedal that can create a very great bass speaker, bass amp sound. There are many pedals out there like these. I personally use a MXR bass DI pedal, because I think it can create a bass sound that is pretty similar to the bass on the album Isn't Anything. I really love that bass sound, and this pedal is able to do this in my opinion. I will show you. Just plug in your bass into this pedal, and from there you go into your audio interface, into your laptop, and yeah, then you can record and play very great bass sounds. Yeah, so and from there you can add some effect pedals. What kind of effects you can use, I want to show you now. I will start with sounds that are really clean, that you can hear in some shoegaze records. From there I will go to more driven and fuzzy sounds, to reverb sounds, to chorus sounds. And from there I will show you what you can do with delay, pitch shifting and harmonic effect pedals. Let's start with clean sounds first. For a good bass clean sound, I would always recommend any pedal that has an EQ, or maybe you have, as I said, an EQ on your bass amp. I chose my Zoom MS-70 CDR that has also some bass EQ on it. I just took out some frequencies in the range of 120 Hz. I also increased the frequency around 3000 Hz a little bit so that the sound is even clearer. I would also recommend to put on some compression because your bass sounds much more even and controlled that way. As I think it's really shoegazy, I will use my MXR DI bass pedal to record all the sounds here. I will go right into my interface. So I will also choose this pedal for my clean sound here. Let's go. The cool thing about the MXR DI bass pedal is that it also has a little distortion in it. This allows me to make the sound a little more dirty but still not too aggressive, which is really cool. You can also blend in the drive signal. I like this setting very much to imitate the Isn't Anything bass sound by My Bloody Valentine.
Hey, before I go on, I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm happy to tell you that I just launched the Shoegazer Squad. The Shoegazer Squad is a community-based Patreon page and Discord server. What exactly does it mean? I've been working on a Discord server where all the shoegaze lovers and effect pedal enthusiasts can come together, talk about our favorite bands, music gear, share ideas and also listen to music. You can click the invite link below to access the basic channels of the server. But if you want to do more cool stuff like joining our virtual rehearsal space, voting songs into my Spotify playlists, deep dive into your favorite effect pedals, or asking me any question you want, check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description box. There you can officially join the Shoegazer Squad by becoming a member of the gang, the crew, the band, or even become a carrier of the VIP backstage pass. Of course I will continue to make videos on YouTube, but as a patron you will have access to an extra video once a month, behind the scene content, songwriting and production tips, but even fun things like effect presets or Ableton Live templates for your shoegaze production. Thanks to everyone who has supported my channel. I'm really excited for this community to grow. But now back to the video.
One of my most favorite bands is probably the band Ringo Death Star, a very great shoegaze band. Alex Gehring is really often using fuzz pedals because Ringo Death Star is a three-piece, and if you want to fill out a three-piece band more with fuzz and guitar-like sounds, it's probably a good idea to put on more fuzz on your bass tone. For my fuzz sound I'm using my Ultra Blast pedal, which is a Devi Vintage Fuzzmaster and Sodomizer in one pedal, and on the other side there's also a Univox Super Fuzz, which is a pedal that the band Ringo Death Star is using on guitar. But I will use the Sodomizer here because it's one of my most favorite fuzz sounds ever, and I will play some bass. Sure, you can also put on some reverb on your bass signal. Reverb is always great to bind your sound into the whole band mix or in your recording mix. I guess you can imagine how it sounds if there's some reverb on bass. I want to focus today, because it's about shoegaze, on reverse reverb, because it's not so often used in other genres. The only bands I know that are using it are My Bloody Valentine and Astrobrite. I'm using my Hardwire RV7 stereo reverb, a very rare pedal, but also brands like Electro Harmonix create pedals with a reverse reverb on it. I like what Digitech is doing, so you can also try the Digitech Polara or the Digiverb. These also have reverse reverb on it. In gothic, darkwave and post-punk music, the effect chorus is really commonly used. If you think of bands like Joy Division, New Order, Cocteau Twins and The Cure, these bands are very often using chorus. If you're more in the darker scene of the shoegaze world, maybe this is a sound for you. Before I knew shoegaze, I was listening to Perfect Circle very often. They sometimes used a lot of delay on their bass, and I really like it. I think it's really shoegazy. I lately saw a jam session from the 90s by Scott Cortes of Astrobrite, and he was also using a lot of delay on his bass, and it's really cool. It's a cool effect. Check it out. There are also delays that have the ability to pitch shift the delay signal in the end. I call them pitch delay pedals. I use these pedals, for example, in my music on bass sometimes, and this is how it sounds. So I hope I could give you an idea of how you choose your bass for your shoegaze music and also how you choose your effects. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I would be super happy about this. And if you have any other questions or recommendations on bass sound and bass pedals, post it in the comments below. Some gear and some pedals that I used in this video I also linked in the description below using some affiliate links. If you want to buy one of those items, feel free to use my affiliate links because it would support this channel very much and it doesn't cost you a cent, but it's just an option, you don't have to for sure. I love you anyways. If there was any sound that you missed in this video, I'm very sorry for that, but there's so many bands out there, I can't cover all of them. I'm still human. If you like this channel and my content, feel free to subscribe and hit the little bell button, and I would be very happy to see you next time. It was a lot of fun for me to do this. See you later.